Hey guys, what's up? This is Teddy Macedo, aka bearRimshot's speaking. Sorry you've been months late with this one. Now, if I can be completely honest with you guys on what personally took me too long with this video, with this vlog in particular, well, as all of you guys can see for yourselves, throughout the grand majority of the entire spring season, the coronavirus pandemic has been such a bigger deal, especially over here in New York, And now that I'm here in my house and largely to see both my mom and dad on weekends again, that's where now I can finally vlog again. So, yay for that. And I know you're all thinking here, whatever it is, do I decide to vlog for today? Well, as we're all in the month of June, as you guys can all obviously tell, I know all of you are probably going to be expecting me to do an update video, since we're now in new season. However, that's not what I'm going to do today. An update vlog, don't get me wrong, an update vlog for the summer will happen, but it won't be until July. And oh boy, will all of you guys watching this see why that is when that day comes. Anyways, for today's vlog, I'll be doing, instead of doing another update vlog for right now, I'm going to be doing another special one. This time being Comic-Con. So I know you're all thinking, what are my thoughts on Comic-Con 2019? So, on with the video. Okay, first off, let's go all the way back in time in May. On Saturday, I did manage to at one point go to film class and then take paratransit to White Plains to borrow something at the White Plains Library, and then I personally took a walk to the Westchester County Center to not just eat lunch, but also to go to the local Comic-Con in White Plains at the Westchester County Center as well. However, when I went there, I now personally seen some really good friends, including some of those whom I personally known while I was doing Project Search at that same exact time, but also at the same time, another thing that also occurred, I did manage to, in case if you're wondering whether or not I managed to purchase any merch, well, yes I did. 3 new t-shirts, including one that's Disney Princess themed, which I will honestly say I've always been wanting to get my hands on for a while. But for whatever reason, one way or the other, there are not too many places in general, not even those officially approved by Disney themselves, I would sell Disney Princess t-shirts for us men to wear, which is a total shame because, let's be honest here, you have a lot of people of different age groups and genders you have different kinds of people around the world who love Disney, like myself, for example, who happens to be a male and is straight, And yes, I definitely would want to wear some Disney Princess t-shirts of my own, even if, well, despite the fact, well, that I not only may be a male, but also a straight as well, But, yeah. And then, I took paratransit. Well, I was supposed to see, Avengers Endgame at that time. But for whatever reason, at that time, I was going to use one of my birthday tickets I received at the time, and for whatever reason, tickets were sold out. So I still then had dinner at a pizza place nearby that I like. But yeah. And in case if you are wondering whether or not I ever did get to see Avengers Endgame in theaters, yes I did. Twice at my local Alamo Draft House, It definitely does indeed have a presentable specialty menu on its own, more so than, say, Star Wars Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker does. I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely did enjoy Star Wars Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker on its own as it is, but Avengers Endgame, for whatever reason, one way or the other, has the better specialty menu, There's everything that The Rise of Skywalker is over as great a movie as is on its own. Doesn't see nothing but yucky items, and must not also, and really doesn't help either that the specialty shake for The Rise of Skywalker had to contain alcohol. Though at the very least, I also got Frozen 2, which I was able to enjoy its own specialty shake flat out virgin, But don't forget that virgin would be the absolute worst thing you'll ever see me drink. And then Sunday came along, originally I was going to go back to the Western County Center for, originally I did consider, going to Comic-Con that day, but then, on one hand, for whatever reason, this person I knew from Andrews named Chaim Bamberger, for whatever reason, wanted me to join him for this birthday party he had at the time, As much as I did try to get him out of his respect for that for whatever reason, one way or the other, my mom just protested me from going there, And I did, but for the other hand, Chaim Bamberger really did try to invite me for to go to his birthday party at the time, but for whatever reason, I did not go to any of them. Plus, when speaking of someone like Chaim Bamberger, I am really not going to lie about myself when I say this, but I never really liked Chaim Bamberger anyways. At least for a while I did not. Here's why. Even though, yes, now Chaim and I are both now on good terms, unlike with the abomination that is Ethan Brown. Long story on that, but anyways, good Chaim Bamberger, even though I will admit I did indeed have my golden moments with him, for whatever reason, he can have his moments where he can be really annoying with me when he feels like it, Like, for example, one thing that he did that I felt was flat out annoying of him to do, back when I personally did Project Search, every time a federal holiday comes, there will be a lot of those that occurred, during my time of Project Search where, there would be those where, while it'd be a Project Search, I would always get a last-minute call from Chaim Bamberger on the phone while I'm there, However, Chaim may not have realized after that time when I did Project Search that for whatever reason, that when you're doing Project Search, you don't get too many breaks. The only breaks I can ever normally get while I'm doing Project Search are the following: Thanksgiving, Christmas, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and Memorial Day. And that's it, Though the funny thing regarding my own Christmas break when I did Project Search is that at least I managed to get away to spend time with my family from December 24th going all the way up to January 1st instead of having the need to stay back in my group home and go to Project Search, which is great because, I always love being with my family for the holidays. Also, the sad thing being as a major Beeline paratransit rider on my part is, well, most of during the time when I did Project Search, as I would usually be in Pleasantville during the week, I wouldn't be able to fully take paratransit all the way to my group home in Pleasantville, but instead, if I were that desperate to get myself to Pleasantville all the way to on a Sunday, or any holiday breaks I get, which would include Thanksgiving and which would include things like Thanksgiving and Memorial Day, as well as Christmas / New Year's. I would always have to take paratransit to the White Plains train station, either White Plains train station or Ocean Falls train station, depending where I'll be coming from during the day, depending what I'll be doing during the day. And then I would go take the train from either White Plains or Ocean Falls to Pleasantville. And then I would go take it from the Pleasantville train station to my group home. However, the only time when I could ever go back to my group home at the time with paratransit fully would have been on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which for whatever reason, I've had no choice but to stay back during the entire weekend, It's sad that I had to do so last year, and yet, fortunately for me, I did manage to get away to do so this year, when Martin Luther King Jr. Day break. However, I bring this up because, out of all the holiday breaks I do get while I'm doing Project Search, Martin Luther King Jr. Day would pretty much be the only holiday break I get where the Beeline bus / paratransit schedules would pretty much follow the entire Beeline schedules on both bus and paratransit leg would pretty much follow either the Saturday or weekday schedule. Whereas other holiday breaks I would get would usually follow either the Sunday schedule or there's no service, And when it comes to taking either Beeline bus or Beeline paratransit to places, it is worth realizing on your part that, that on both Thanksgiving Day and on Christmas Day, there will be no Beeline service at all whatsoever. Meaning that if, say, for whatever reason, my local ammo draft house feels like screening some things that may pique my interest, that's where I just knew if I were that desperate to go to my local ammo draft to see certain movies, even though I'm more likely to do so, say, the movies that either pique my interest or some unique specialty screening goings on, and something special happening to the ammo draft house. That's where I just knew that I would have to take Lyft to the local ammo draft house. And yeah. And that is how I can be on both Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day in a nutshell while I'm here in New York, Even though usually I would be in New York on Thanksgiving, during my entire Thanksgiving break in recent memory anyways. I would usually be in New York on Thanksgiving anyways, Whereas Christmas, on the other hand, due to some family deaths that occurred back in 2016, ever since my uncle Mickey, my aunt Sandra, and my cousin Tommy all died in this car accident that occurred back in 2016. I would consider going to I would still consider celebrating Christmas with my dad's side of the family whenever possible. However, it wouldn't be during the entire actual Christmas season itself, like I would go down to Maryland on Christmas Eve and come back to New York on the day after Christmas, like how things used to be. But instead, I would do it some other time throughout all of December. Either early or late, depending on what goes on with my youngest cousin Helena. But at the very least, it does indeed open certain floodgates for me to go to my local ammo draft house to see certain movies that pique my interest. Especially say, for whatever reason, they got too many movies that interest me, that pique my interest, that would be playing at the time, whether it be old or new. But yeah, not sure about whether or not I can ever go. Not sure what I'll be doing for Christmas this year. We'll just have to wait and see when that day comes. But anyways, moving on back to Comic-Con. And then fast forwarding in October comes the New York Comic-Con season. And I'm sad to say there's people that if I can be very honest, how I've been regarding the New York Comic-Con season. Last year, things for whatever reason, one way or the other, have been really stressful for me at the time. Well, to keep this long, and I know you're all thinking here, what was so stressful regarding the New York Comic-Con season? Well, the following things have occurred. During the first half of New York Comic-Con, my parents, both my mom and my dad, forced me to instead go to Dayhab. Not only that, but also when the second half comes, that'll be when both of the currently existing Alamo Draft House locations, being the one in Yonkers, which is the one I usually go to, and the one in Brooklyn, would have been hosting their own Willy Wonka movie party. And I really love Willy Wonka, to be honest. One of my childhood faves, to be honest, Not only that, but also, when regarding day 2 of New York Comic Con, well, you wouldn't believe who I managed to personally bump into in that same exact day. To keep this long story short, up to that point in time, I would have been at the Galleria Mall in White Plains with my Dayhab group, right? Anyways, up to that point in time, I just ate my lunch. Well, I had a sandwich from Subway, and then after I just ate my lunch at the Galleria Mall, that's where I would instead then go to the bathroom, and then of course I did wash my hands. I did manage to wash myself after using the bathroom because I rightfully should have, obviously, duh. And then while I was walking out to the bathroom and grabbing myself some drink of water, I personally bumped into a certain someone whom, in recent memory, from my understanding, can be such a major nut job to be what I've been calling him out as. If you guys don't know who the fridge I'm talking about here, I'm talking, of course, of Euro Weekly. For those who don't know, yes, one way or the other, I did manage to bump into Euro Weekly. And oh boy, was he being a major nut job to me as usual. And I know you're all thinking here, what did Yarl do that would make him such a nut job this time as usual? Well, something that Yarl would always say to me as well, that for whatever reason, one way or the other, something that Yarl would always say to me would be, well, that I don't listen. However, when you guys hear him say that about me, that is obviously not true about me at all. I do listen, and I care so much about people like him. It's obviously happened that with the case for Wheatley, he's just looking to get all rude and be all rude and vulgar towards me, And that is unfortunately the problem that a lot of people would have with Yarl. He surely knows how to be rude and play all vulgar with people like me when he gets what he wants. And would even be guilty of, well, from my understanding. Now, I know I've talked about this before, and I will say this again, that when being honest on why I've lost my friendship with Wheatley, let's just say, for whatever reason, one way or the other, you do indeed have, my former editor Izuchi Guardian, whom for whatever reason would do anything to refuse to move on from me whenever he quote-unquote feels like it. And yeah, that is Wheatley in a nutshell. He'll do anything to go all Chris Chan on Izuchi Guardian. Just because, well, let's be honest here. The only reason why Wheatley would do anything to go all Chris Chan on Izuchi Guardian would be, well, when regard to the reality of Izuchi Guardian, yes, he's made a lot of terrible mistakes, but for whatever reason, he has right to do whatever he feels to do as long as nobody gets hurt. Though something I noticed is that there was this one Steve Ham's dub that he made where he did get a dislike. However, Izuchi on his part should definitely be thankful on his part that it wasn't me for at least didn't do anything malicious to me at the time. At least nothing major. However, I just knew if Izuchi Guardian were to getting dislikes for any Team Cams, I just knew it had to be nothing more than just Wheatley, who for whatever reason would do anything to start up drama over when you have Izuchi Guardian get himself involved in certain things. Oh, if you guys don't believe me that Wheatley can be guilty of having to start up a lot of drama regarding whenever says you just gotta feel like getting himself all sorts of things up to the point where, well, that you have is to the point that would cause you all to go Chris Chan on him. Well, to keep this long story short, I have personally talked to Yarl in the past regarding my review show, Casual Reviews of bearRimshot's. However, every time I feel like talking to him about that in general, something good happened to it, Yarl doesn't like me talking about that with him. And let's be honest here. The only reason why Yarl doesn't like me talking about it is you can tell he just fears that if I start talking about him in general, that it may involve some form of discussion regarding Izuchi Guardian. Because, let's be honest here. Regarding Izuchi Guardian, yes, it can be guilty of being a major pig over that entire show. However, it is worth realizing on Yarl's part that not only has it been 5 years ever since Izuchi Guardian Zone has been rightfully fired from the entire editor's chair for that entire review show, but also it's been over a year since Izuchi Guardian just felt like tackling that entire show on its own anyways. So I don't see what's to worry about Izuchi Guardian. Even if it is, he's just being a pig, just looking to go all creepy sentimental on me. It really doesn't help either that there would indeed be people on the internet in general who would do anything to continue to enabling him. Now, for those who don't know, yes, there are indeed people who are guilty of enabling Izuchi Guardian. And how can you also tell someone enabling him? Well, people who would think I would lie about certain stuff, including when it's regarding Mike Mixon, are definitely would definitely be considered examples of people who would also indeed be guilty of enabling him, enabling Izuchi Guardian. And yeah, that's what I have to say about people who think I would lie in general, especially when it's regarding Mike Mixon. Anybody who think I would lie about Mike Mixon, they're just nothing more than just a bunch of mentally retarded bozos who are just looking to enable Izuchi Guardian, even having to act like that it was obviously okay for Izuchi Guardian to troll Hymentude whenever he feels like it. And the sad thing regarding that is that you do have Mike Mixon who, for whatever reason, in the end of the day, didn't even feel like it's okay for Izuchi Guardian to troll Hymentude as much as it once, says somebody who just felt butthurt when that happened, And yeah, too bad Mike Mixtape turned out to be a liar, Not only did he lie about what others have to say about Izuchi Guardian, as can be proven with what several anime fans like Caleb, Kordrag, and Marbella, who shot me what all have to say about me, but also he even lied about what he thought about Izuchi Guardian as well as lied about being able and willing to improve himself in life. And I can go on all day on everything that went horribly wrong with Mike Mixtape, which I will do another day. And oh boy, will all of you guys see why that will be the case. But yeah. Let's not also forget there'll be people from the entire Smash community like Hylio, for example, whom like Caleb, Alexander, Chris, and Mia can be guilty of enabling Izuchi Guardian as well. How can Hylio do that? Well, let's just say, I'm not going to act like he's wrong for thinking certain things certain way, but it is obvious worth noting that not only can he be agreeing with Izuchi Guardian regarding certain ideas for crossovers in general, especially things like Smash, but also he doesn't even know when to accept the reality regarding certain things. Like, for example, when regarding toys to life video games, well, if you think toys to life video games can ever be revived, technically they can, However, when looking to the reality on why games like Disney Infinity and like Dimensions failed, you're definitely gonna have to look more into the entire character rosters. For you can tell when looking to the entire character rosters for both Disney Infinity and Lego Dimensions, that's where you can tell for whatever reason, one way or another, they can be guilty in having to continuously talk to their audiences at the time. Even having to like certain kinds of characters, like females and villains as examples. And if you ever think that all non-video game characters will never clean up because if you think that all non-video game characters will never get in Smash due to legal issues, well, just like with the case for video game characters, that can all depend on a case-by-case basis, You're also going to have to think about who they're legally owned by, as well as Nintendo's relationship with respective rights holder when considering use of certain characters. So I can definitely tell you all for a fact that there would be not one, not two, but 3 non-video game companies that exist in the market, which Nintendo on their own is currently on good terms with. Like, for example, one non-video game company which Nintendo on their own do indeed have a close relationship with would be Disney. Hence, you can tell for a fact that not only would it obviously open the floodgates for Kingdom Hearts representation in Smash Melee thing, But also, not only can Sakurai legally get away including characters like Sora if he wanted to, but also characters like Mickey Mouse, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Darth Vader, and Yoda, especially Spider-Man as well, especially when we speak of things like Spider-Man and Star Wars in particular. They're both so goddamn popular in all of Japan up to the point where, well, Star Wars, as well as this one Spider-Man TV show called Ultimate Spider-Man, both did manage to make it as part of Japan's entire favorite foreign cartoons countdown. And only if Sakurai wanted to, I'm sure he would. He can legally include the likes of Mickey Mouse, Spider-Man, Darth Vader, and Yoda if he wanted to, as well as characters like Star Killer. Not only that, but also you also got Universal, which Nintendo's been getting along to find well with Nintendo now working with Universal to make a movie based on Mario, which should be good, as well as likewise some theme park attractions based on Nintendo IPs in general. And now that Nintendo's currently working with Universal, that's where you can tell it does indeed open the floodgates for Nintendo, as well as Sakurai, to legally get away having Strike appear as a playable character, as well as Minions as an assist trophy if Sakurai ever wanted to. And let's not also forget, you got Warner Brothers and Nintendo, like with Disney and Universal, Nintendo's been on good terms with. Not only do you have Warner Brothers making a lot of games for the Switch, including having to make a bunch of Lego games, as well as have a Batman game released on the Switch, but also at the same time, you also have You also have you also have but also you also have Warner Brothers who made a Pokemon movie of their own, something known as Detective Pikachu, as well as likewise well, considering those two facts regarding Warner Brothers, how they could give Nintendo, that's where Nintendo would now open the floodgates for Mortal Kombat representation in Smash to be a thing without a Sakurai wants it, but also not just open the floodgates for characters like Scorpion and Sub-Zero to be in Smash, but also characters like Bugs Bunny, Batman, and Shaggy Rogers to all appear in Smash if Sakurai wants to, and maybe the Cat in the Hat. Besides, this is a non-educational game we're talking about, and not if it's something when we speak of things like Super Smash Brothers. That is no Living Books clone. That is nothing more than just a fighting game, you know? And yeah. And let's not also forget that also doesn't help either that if you know if you miss by working at Big Battles in general, that's where you can tell for whatever reason, one way or another, there have been many characters who get to be in Epic Battles for whatever reason, no matter how many times they make protests, one way or the other, there are not too many characters who Dante would let go for future entries, you know? And which could have also explained why, well, there are not too many characters who get in Epic Battles for whatever reason, Dante would never let go anytime soon. Now, okay, he may have been nice enough to Yuji Go. That's because what a hateable jerk he is. Even though he won't be in Epic Battle 6 for whatever reason, But then, at the same time, he will get continuously mocked, And yeah, that's pretty much Epic Battles and Recent Memory in a nutshell. This house remembered. Zushi Guardian would always get regularly mocked for the way he treats bronies, As well as the way he treats people like me. And I know what all of you are probably going to be thinking. What did I do at New York Comic Con this year? Well, one thing that occurred while I was at New York Comic Con is that, I definitely have bumped into the developers for Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron and told them how much I enjoyed that game to death, And another thing that also occurred, I met up with Amy Memberson once again, and even have personally admitted to her how much I personally miss hand-drawn animation in general, Because I will be completely honest with my project. You may know me up to this point, especially with having to do, especially something like you guys should do. There's a public apology that you notice how much I miss hand-drawn animation to death. Another thing that also occurred while I was at Comic Con, the shirt that you see me wear right now, I did manage to get from Comic Con last year. And not only that, but also, another thing that has also happened, while I was in New York Comic Con this year, I did bump into Chris from Empire State Go. For those who don't know who I'm talking about here, this person I'm talking about, he's one of the nicest people I've ever talked to. And yes, something I have admitted to him about myself is that I'm always willing to improve myself in life whenever necessary. Long story now, but yeah. That is how I am as both a content creator and as a human being for in a nutshell. I'm always wanting to improve myself to make sure that I can grow in life, And yeah. And another thing that also happened is that for the second time I was at Comic Con, I did personally meet the voice of SpongeBob, Tom Kenny. And I even once asked him why he didn't get to reprise his role as Rabbit in Christopher Robin. It's a total shame because, I definitely would have loved it if Disney could bring back the entire surviving voice cast of the 2011 Winnie the Pooh movie to reprise their respective roles for Christopher Robin. Well, at least I got Jim Cummings to get to reprise roles both Pooh and Tigger too, as well as likewise, we also have some. Those got Brad Garrett, who also voiced You're Not Just Enter in there, but also even got to reprise as well as that particular character for Ralph Breaks Sr. as well. And in case if you're wondering whether or not I did get to see Willy Wonka that talked like the Gamma Draft House during Comic Con weekend, the answer is yes, I did. Well, While I was at the Ultimate Willy Wonka party last year, I did ask some of the cast regarding whether or not they've heard about this show called Fantasy Movie Memories. Now, if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about here, well, once upon a time, there would have been this show that exists that a lot of people from Mr. Code Friends once all did together called Fantasy Movie Memories. Well, basically, a lot of internet reviewers, mainly from Mr. Code Friends, and as well as people from Reviews Unknown and Manic Expression, who would get together to talk about what they love about their favorite fantasy movies in their childhood, which would have been created by Logan Roundabout, aka Toonmore, aka Logan Roundabout, aka Toonmore, Kid Reviews and Movie Reviews, and Morgan Ledger, creator of Vaulting, and narrated by Matt Bruno, aka Animation, Bucket Animation Reviews, and edited by Sam from aka Self-Produced Sam, editor of Reviews and Movie Reviews. And yeah, it's definitely sad to see that show go away, but I can understand why, especially since considering of how well it is worth understanding you're part of that for that reason. There wouldn't be a lot of drama that occurred behind the scenes. It's a total shame because, I really loved Fantasy Movie Memories a lot. I really did, It just happened for whatever reason, one way or the other. Considering the apocalypse was likewise, as well as what, and considering how that Morgan did have different ideas to him after the servant say Logan okay, Huey did, well, I can respect why. But at the very least, I know I got animation. Look back where I can do research, but also other shows that Ant-Man has made, like Big Big Felt and his own editorials, as well as likewise, there are also other places I've watched research, like Digital Gaming, as an example. As well as the sister shows, movies and food. In case if you're wondering whether or not did any of the surviving cast members of Willy Wonka ever get that fantasy movie memories, for whatever reason, they didn't. And I just knew how to bring that up to them, considering of how well, for those who don't know, there would indeed be this fantasy movie memories episode based on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that did indeed get to be a thing. And yeah, I'm sure the entire Mr. Code and Friends fan base will know this guy for whatever reason, that Mr. Code himself wasn't in that particular episode. Well, that's because, well, you do realize that Mr. Code himself does indeed hate Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory up to the point that, well, that he did once make a slam ad for that particular movie and made an defensive video for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I will admit about myself that as much as I may love the usual Willy Wonka the movie as this, I can definitely understand why Mr. Code would prefer the one with Johnny Depp more so than he would with the one with Gene Wilder, And yeah. And while I did get to see Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at the Annual Draft House in Brooklyn on Sunday during day 4 of Comic-Con last year, I did manage to order myself the specialty shake made for Willy Wonka, which I really enjoyed a lot, It does make me feel like I should make Willy Wonka as one of the first movies I would consider hosting for about a week's feast. Well, to keep this long story short, when it comes to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, well, it did indeed get its own specialty menu, including its own specialty shake, which I can enjoy the version if I wanted to. So at the very least, I got that going. And plus, let's not also forget that Willy Wonka the Chocolate Factory is indeed part of the entire Epic Battle cinematic universe, thanks to how well that Willy Wonka is in Epic Battles portrayed with him having Gene Wilder's likeness being used for that particular character. But yeah. And another thing that also occurred while I was in Comic-Con last year is I also participated in some event relevant to a Disney TV show called Big City Greens, and I even told them of how that they should definitely let Disney know to allow the Alamo Draft House, that the years including the Alamo Draft House, to screen older Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars movies as much as they want. Well, at the very least, Disney's still been kind enough to let the Alamo Draft House screen things like any of the currently existing Muppet movies, as well as stuff from entire Fox World as much as they want, as well as Indiana Jones, you know. And I'm definitely happy to hear that Disney has been too kind to let the Alamo Draft House to screen older Fox movies as much as they want. You know, there have been plenty of Fox movies I've been watching. There'd even be some that did get away to get their own special menus, such as Isle of Dogs and the Simpsons movie. Also, another thing that also occurred while I was in Comic-Con anything else, well, another highlight also happened while I was at Comic Con would also include, I did manage to, another thing that also happened while I was at Comic Con this year, well, I did meet this person named Doug, who's best known for making cartoons based on pop culture, which would have been said to be a love letter to pop culture, which I will honestly say that I absolutely loved and do sometimes read whenever I feel like it, I will honestly say. And that's all I have to say for this one. Hopefully I should see you guys soon when I share my thoughts in 2019. And for those who don't know, yeah, I'm still not done talking about 2018 just yet. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed my latest vlog, and hopefully you guys can expect me. You guys can also look forward to expecting me make more of that concept. Tune in. Bye.